Alrighty. Good morning, everybody, and I'm so proud to be joined by our great new governor, Governor Hochul, my friend, partner, and colleague on everything we do for New York in the Senate, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, our great new congressman who represents this area, Jamal Bowman, Mamaroneck Mayor, that's Mamaroneck Mayor, that's a tongue twister. Mamaroneck Mayor, Tom Murphy, all M's. And when you hear him speak, you will hear. He talks like me. He's from New York. We also have our great county executive, George Latimer, as well as our New York State Senator, Shelley Mayer, our Assembly member, Steve Otis, former mayor, now Assembly member, Jerry Barbarino, our village manager, Catherine Parker, where'd she go? Right there. She represents this area in the state legislature, in the county legislature. Kelly Wenstrup, he's a trustee liaison of the Flood Mitigation Advisory Committee, and Dan Natchez, Village of Mamaroneck trustee. First and foremost, we want to commend the work of the first responders and community partners here in Mamaroneck, who once again have stepped up this week during the devastation and saved countless lives. Let's have a round of applause for our first responders. During Ida, they completed over 100 water rescues. They continue to work tirelessly to assist over 1,000 people just here have been displaced. It says on my notes, let's give them a round of applause. I did that already, but let's do it again. Let's give them a second round of applause. So we're here today following this devastating storm because the area where the Mamaroneck and Sheldrake rivers meet, right by Columbus Park, where I've been many times, has been a flooding hotspot for decades. It's costing the area millions in damage, costing the area millions in devastation. There have been far too many times that Mamaroneck has been beaten and battered by storms, only to have the federal bureaucracy leave them hanging out to dry. This must stop. We need the federal government to once and for all rectify this issue so we don't have to go through what we went through the last 2 days again and again and again. I remember the devastation when I visited the village in April of 2007. None of my colleagues were here at that time, so they weren't here, but they would have been. And it cost over $50 million in damage. I saw the flooding. I remember going to the stores and the restaurants and hearing the breaking hearts of those small business owners whose businesses were ruined. So after that visit, I sounded the alarm in Congress and secured the first step to fix this issue. I got a $4.7 million study through the Army Corps of Engineers. The bottom line is the way the Army Corps works, they first do a study and figure out what the best thing to do is. That study is done, so we are ready to go. But there's a sad tale, which I'll tell in a minute. Anyway, while the study was going on, we had severe flooding continuing to plague the village. We had Hurricanes Irene, Hurricane Lee, Hurricane Sandy, and now Ida. So this isn't the first or second time. Though the study was completed and we successfully fought for construction to be authorized, and it was in the 2018 Water Infrastructure Act. I put it in there with Senator Gillibrand's help. The Trump administration, in another one of their vicious moves, because it was anti-New York, decided not to move forward with construction of this long overdue process because of the arbitrary and bureaucratic excuses used by the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget. They disregarded the loss of human life here. They disregarded the destruction to the village, the cost to the village and the taxpayers, the cost to the small business people. They just said no. They let many other projects in other areas go forward in states that were friendlier to them. So that is why I am here today demanding that OMB and the Army Corps of Engineers move heaven and earth and finally begin the Mamaroneck and Sheldrake River Flood Risk Management Project. Once and for all.
Well said.
It's going to save lives, and it can make sure that what happened this week will never happen again. The project builds over a mile of breakwater walls in the Mamaroneck and Sheldrake rivers and drains them and deepens them. So when there's a lot of rain, and we're going to get a lot more rain with climate change and global warming, the rivers will not overflow. That's what will happen. The rain came down last night, 2 nights ago, at a pace of 3 inches per hour in Mamaroneck during Ida. And the area most prone to flooding is the most economically underserved. During the storm, half of Mamaroneck lost power during the flooding. Residents reported up to 14 feet of water, flooding homes, businesses, and roads. The Army Corps feasibility study estimates this project will reduce damages, and the study is old. Global warming has increased. It's reduced damages by $3.4 million annually and provide an 87% risk reduction in main floor flood damages. Projects like these, to protect the lives and homes of Americans, is why the Senate just passed the bipartisan infrastructure bill, and it has in it $2.5 billion for inland flood risk management projects. So that means once the Army Corps gives the green light, there's money to go ahead, get the shovels in the ground, and start on the project once and for all. And I'm confident that this administration won't do what the last administration did and block it. I'm confident of that. The Corps is authorized to start as many new projects as needed to funding, and that's why we're here. I help the Army Corps all the time. They're great. But Army Corps, make this number one. Number one. You have plenty of money, put it at the top of the list. The River Flood Management Project would bring over, as I said, 4,000 feet, close to a mile of new and desperately needed flood walls. It will widen and deepen both the Sheldrake and Mamaroneck rivers and remove or replace 6 bridges along the rivers, bridges that need immediate repairs. So it's a comprehensive project. The study they did is a damn good study. But studies that sit on the shelf do no good until the shovels get in the ground and the project gets done. So, if you ask the folks of Mamaroneck, the typical mom or dad, the business owner, they might not know why this keeps happening or why the federal government can't help. But I'll tell you, this week what they did know is that they had to leave their homes in the dead of night, some still in PJs, and shelter at the local high school. That's not acceptable. We're here to say enough is enough. We need OMB and the Army Corps to cut through the red tape. I'm going to use my clout as majority leader. Senator Gillibrand will use her clout as the great senator from New York. Our dynamic, ever-active new Congressman Bowman will use his clout, and we will get this done at the federal level. Now, we need a little state help, and I'm glad Governor Hochul is here, because with our new governor, she is always willing to help. So let me thank her for coming and recognize her.